Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry, we were having a little bit of a connectivity issue. Back on track now. Just gonna add Tamanna and then we can begin. Hi, Richa. Hi, Ayushi. Good to see you guys here.
Hello.
Finally, I don't know what was wrong with my phone. I seem to be having this problem every day now.
Must be the network. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Okay,
So
so
good to see you.
okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry, running a little late, but might as well because I think people are just joining in right now. Um, okay, Tamanna needs no
Yes.
introduction on the page, Decoding Life with Aanchal, but I'm still going to do it. She's a healer, psychic reader, spiritual healer, a dear friend of mine, a whole load of. She's also now an author. She's launched her own cards, but we'll come to that a bit later. Welcome to the page, Tamanna. And
Thank you.
our subject today is understanding your karma. So we know that this word karma is very loosely floated around in today's day and age when everyone's on this massive spiritual journey and everyone says karma's a bitch, karma will get to you, it's their karma. Tamanna, let's start with absolute basics. What really is karma and karmic lessons, and what is their relevance in our lives, in our journeys, life journeys?
Okay. So again, when we talk about karma, we have an astrological point of view, Achal, and then we have a philosophical point of view, and then you also have according to the religious point of view. What the Bhagavad Gita talks about, all about the good and bad karma. Now, the
Right.
karmas that they spoke about absolutely resonated and was absolutely relative according to the generation that the Bhagavad Gita, the Guru Granth Sahib was written in. But the world
Okay.
that we live in, the Kalyug that we live in, the entire meaning of karma is very different because even souls go through evolution. So souls that were
Okay.
born centuries, 100 centuries years ago, they held a different frequency. The concept of karma then was very different. The purpose of incarnation, the purpose of life, the purpose of relationships, the purpose of religion was very different. So that
Okay.
concept of karma is no longer applicable to the current age karmic lifestyle that we live in. If you're
Okay.
to ask me from a new age perspective or from a scientific perspective, karma is your collective energy of between your intentions, actions, and reactions. Now, people say
So,
you should do good karma.
it's-
Today, you can act good things,
yeah.
but if your intention of doing that is not in alignment with the action, the
Okay.
karma gets null and void.
Okay.
Today, your intention can be right towards somebody, but
Okay.
if you do your action towards the other person is wrong, it's still not a positive karma.
Okay.
So collectively, for a good karma, your intentions, actions, and your reactions to the situation has to be in alignment to
Okay.
generate a certain form of karma. Now, karma in a layman's language is a brownie point that the soul comes back on earth in human form to experience, to grow higher on a frequency path. So as human beings, Achal, if you see the world, it revolves around money.
Yeah.
Money is the energy for human beings.
Yeah.
From the time the child is born, from the time the child is 3 years old, they're sent to school, they're sent to college. It's
Yeah.
been instilled into the child that they have to grow up and be something and earn money, and then the entire life becomes about money.
Right.
Similarly, for the soul, it's all about karma because the more you attain karma, the more frequency you attain.
Okay.
So it's like in human form, the more money that we attain, the better quality of life that we lead.
Correct.
In a spiritual form, for the soul, the more we attain good karma, the more we fulfill our karma, the more we balance and release our karma, we attain a higher frequency of soul life. So
Okay.
that is what karma is. Karma is just a tool that the soul uses in order to enhance their soul growth or frequency growth.
Okay. But how would we know what our karma is?
So again, it's very difficult to really talk. We can't really, a layman cannot.
Is there a generic term for karma, is there a generic good karma for all of us, or do you have your specific karma? I have my specific karma. How do we break this
We
down?
all have our specific karmas. And people talk about karma as a bitch and this happened to me, so the other person should pay back. How about
Yeah,
people actually taking a back seat and thinking that maybe you're also paying back for something you've done in the past?
correct,
You
correct,
know, today,
correct.
people talk about a murder, that,
Yeah,
oh, the murderer
yeah,
is a bad person and he will face the consequence. It's also the person who's been murdered has also chosen to get
yeah,
murdered in
yeah,
order to balance or to release a karma.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
today, if
So,
if someone steals, if someone, I'm just giving you an example, if someone steals you
yeah,
of money or someone cheats you, it's not also the other person's karma. It's also what you've done in the past
right,
that kind of creates a balance or an imbalance in your karma. So it's
right.
very
So,
difficult.
no,
So
no,
I
go
was
ahead.
saying, to answer your question, it's very difficult, Achal, because for 8 billion people, there are 8 billion different karmic permutations and combinations.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
need a professional person who can decode this karma. That's when psychics come into play. That's when astrologers come into play. That's when tarot card readers help you, or these energy readers help you in terms to kind of decode what your karmic pattern is and how much you need to give into a relationship, whether a relationship is going to be positive or negative, whether you have a karma with a person or not. So all for these purposes, you really need to go to someone who can decode the language.
okay.
A
So,
layman cannot really pick that up.
So what I'm really trying to understand is that, like you said, that we all, like 8 billion people, have 8 billion different karmas, So some people, and I know that some people face a financial challenge in life, whereas every other aspect of their life falls into place very beautifully. Some people have relationship karma. Some people, so I understand that, and that being specific. But when karma is also generally very loosely used, right? Like karma is generally defined as good and bad. Is there a moral value attached to this? Is there something known as good karma, bad karma, or is there just our own specific karma, like you said, that everyone has their own specific karma and the journey that we are meant to go through?
Okay, so there is no good karma, bad karma. The two different categories of karma is you either need to balance your karma
Yeah.
or you need to release your karma. Now,
Okay.
what do I mean by balance is, say in some lifetime, I cheated you of 1,000 rupees.
Right.
In this lifetime, I will choose that I'm going to balance it
Yeah.
by giving Aanchal something worth 1,000 rupees. Or
Right.
if I'm a doctor and Aanchal comes to me as a patient, I'm going to do a treatment for free.
Right.
So that is balancing. The
Right.
other way of releasing is what we do, repentance.
Right.
So that's when we kind of repent that in this lifetime, Aanchal may not come to me as a client, but I choose to go through repentance where I get cheated of 1,000 rupees by somebody else.
Right. Right.
So the karmas are only two ways. You can break through a pattern of a karmic cycle either by balancing your karma or by releasing your karma.
Okay. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be that if I have a karmic connection with you in the past, that that I will finish that with you in this lifetime. It could be also like
No,
with somebody else.
it can be some other soul because you may choose not to incarnate at the same time with me. So how do we balance that?
Right. Right.
Because not all souls from the past life actually incarnate at the same time.
Right.
So that's when the release happens, that the soul chooses a third party
Yeah.
to kind of release or to go through repentance.
Right. And do we choose our karmas, or are we just, born with a set of, uh, I have to finish this from my past life? And then what happens if you're a new soul and not an old soul? How does that work? Do we choose our own karmas?
So I'm going to explain that to you by giving an example. Now today, when we've all been to school. When we go to school, just before our exams, students who score 80% plus,
Yeah.
if they tell the teacher, we want to sit at home and study, can we take study leave? They are granted that.
Yeah.
But if a student who's a failure, who only scores 30, 40, 50 marks, goes to the student and says that, teacher, I want to study at home, the teacher will not allow it.
Correct.
Similarly, souls of higher frequency get the power to choose and rewrite their karmas,
Okay.
or kind of determine the life they want to go through.
Okay.
with the help of guides. But souls who are vibrating at a lower frequency do not have the choice of free will in the spiritual realm.
Okay.
That is why it's so important. We keep talking about attaining moksha, enlightenment. What is moksha? What is enlightenment? It is not a point in the spiritual world. It's not a place. It's a frequency of a higher vibration. So it's very important for us to reach the frequency of a higher vibration, Achal, is because the more frequency we gather, the more choices of free will as souls we have.
Souls we have, yeah.
So we can choose the family we want to be born in. We can pick and choose the financial conditions we want to be born in. We can pick and choose the different aspects of our life through what we want to learn. So like you rightly said, some people learn their lessons through finance, some people learn their lessons through health, some people learn their lessons through relationship issues. So the souls who are vibrating at a higher frequency get that choice of free will. They get that leverage. They get that upper hand to choose compared to the souls vibrating at a lower frequency. So the new souls, their karma is kind of designed or predetermined with the help of a lot of old souls who are then the soul realm or soul frequency.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. From what I am understanding out of this, old souls don't get to choose their karmas. They're probably making their karmas in their
Yeah,
lives, whereas the
yeah,
old souls are finishing their past karmas. Am I right, or have I misunderstood
yeah.
this?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay. And how do we choose? How do we choose what karmas we are bringing into this lifetime? If we are an old soul, if we have a choice, how do we choose this?
Okay, so karmas are based on three bases, three different kinds of karmas. And number one is a karmic contract. Now, a karmic contract is that a soul chooses that in this lifetime, I want to encounter these people, and I want to be there for them, and I want them to be there for me. So it's a mutual
Okay.
energy exchange. It's a symbiotic energy exchange. Now, the energy exchange can be financial benefit, emotional support, financial support, spiritual growth, wellness growth, etc. Or it can also be that, our families, the friends that we choose, they are all karmic contracts. Now,
Yeah.
karmic contracts are longer relationships. It's not always easy, but they
Yeah.
come and go. So even if you've had a fight with a partner or if you've had a fight with your best friend, you may
Yeah.
not talk for 2 years, but you all will come back together whenever you all need each other.
Right.
So those never-ending connections are karmic connection. And you've heard me say this personally to you also that this is a karmic connection. So which means that those are meant to be to put you on the path. And once you're on the path, they go away and they kind of come back whenever you're out of track.
And how do we know when these karmic connections have ended?
They don't end. They are usually carried forward in multiple lifetimes. On
Okay.
the other side, you have a karmic lesson. Now, whenever you're struggling with a karmic lesson, you
Mhm.
have to choose what lesson you need to learn. It's like an Uber service.
Yeah.
Wherever your location is, you choose that, okay, I need to learn in 2019, I need to learn the lesson of forgiveness.
Yeah.
On that frequency in the year 2019, people who are in that radar,
Become.
who want to teach you the lesson of forgiveness, they will immediately get attracted to you, serve you, teach you, and once you're learning the lesson, they will walk out of your life.
Okay.
So karmic lessons are more short-lived and more painful because it ends with a lot of attachment and pain
Okay.
because learning lessons are not very easy.
Okay.
And the third kind of karma is Achal, past incompletions. So
Okay.
maybe one or two of karmic relationships you've left incomplete in the past
Right.
have come back in this lifetime for completion. Those are karmic incompletion. So you have a karmic contract, which is more long lived, more
Yeah.
symbiotic. You have a karmic lesson, which
Short.
is more short lived and more painful, and the end is usually painful.
Yeah.
And then you have a karmic incompletion.
So, when you talk about this karmic completion, once had someone say this to me in a very personal capacity that, you are now finishing this karma with this person. Now, don't do anything more to further create new karma with this
Yeah.
person. Carry it forward in another lifetime. How do we
Yeah.
know finished? How do we know when we finished our karmic obligation with these people?
So one of the signs for a layman, again, one of the signs is, the same relationship which is a lot more effortless
Yeah.
starts becoming a task. You
Okay.
start resisting them, but you're just attached to their personality or the ego stuff that, oh, I don't resonate with this person, but I have to call this person.
Right.
And all of a sudden you feel very stagnant where you feel that the person is not adding value to your life.
Which way? Yeah. Yeah.
So either which ways, that's one of the significance that the karma is over. And then of course the other ways you need to go to someone who kind of pick up energies and who can decode it for you.
And if it's a family member?
With family members also, sometimes you can physically be around them, but without giving and exchanging of emotional or spiritual energies, which means you're doing everything which is physically, mentally. So suppose if they are unwell, they're going through something, you have to take them to the doctor, you're there for them when they need you,
Yeah.
but you're only getting consumed in the physical and mental realm. You're not emotionally engaging, or you're not emotionally getting consumed by their energies or problems.
So this
That's
is
when detachment comes in, na?
what I was going to ask you. This is tricky, right? Because people who are your
Yeah.
family members, it's very difficult to stay unemotional and to stay detached from them because you always find yourself getting embroiled in their drama as well. So this is actually a very important point that you've made, and that I think all of us should learn. That learn to be there for people without getting attached in too
But
much in that
detaching,
drama.
yeah, but detaching from other people's problems is on the list of the 44 karmic lessons that we need to learn.
What is this list of 44 lessons?
So, of course, we won't get the chance to complete all, but I'm just giving you an example: balance, trust, prioritizing, purification, attachment, communication with an intention, being assertive, working from a feminine aspect, working from a masculine aspect, creative energies, going with the flow, being flexible, opening your heart to receive. These are few of the 44 karmic lessons
So
that we all have to learn.
are your oracle cards a part of this karmic lesson? Because all these are sounding, and I know I've gone through every one of them. So
Yeah,
all
these are so the oracle cards that I launched are basically based on these 44 karmic lessons. It's a deck of 44 cards. So how you've constantly asked me, Tamanna, how does one know what is the lesson we need to learn? How does one know why is the person there in our life? So that's rather than running, I mean, we psychics, tarot card readers, astrologers are there for bigger problems.
yeah,
But in your day-to-day life, when you're stuck in a situation, when you're stuck in a problem,
yeah,
you can't run to a psychic and a tarot card saying, okay, what do I need to learn right now?
yeah,
So that's when, Purane Zamane mein it used to be the Bhagavad Gita. Whenever you're in doubt, you open the Bhagavad Gita.
yeah,
But the new age that we live in, we don't get that chance.
yeah.
So that's why I designed these deck of oracle cards, is to help people get a simple, better perspective rather than being constantly dependent on energy
Yeah.
readers.
So for our viewers, I'm just going to mention this in here, guys. It's a very, very beautiful deck with some phenomenal guidance. It's called Anulom and it's available on Amazon. All you have to do is search for Anulom and you can order your pack of decks. And I think I've had them for a week, and I think I'm also very mindful of pulling out one card every day, and I try and keep that lesson in mind the whole day. And it's kind of, it kind of helps you sometimes get through that. So if any of you guys are interested, please, I would highly recommend this. Get onto Amazon and order your deck right away. Now coming back to our discussion, so when we say lessons, how do we know when we're done with our lessons? I know you answered that partly, but link it to, do we have to keep learning these lessons over and over again, or once we've learned our lesson, we are rid of that? These patterns recur in our lives?
Yeah, so patterns do recur. And also, what happens is, firstly, I'll answer the question in different parts. How do we know that we need to learn the lesson? When you learn
Yeah.
the lesson, the pain of the situation is over.
Okay.
So you no longer feel angry towards the person. You no longer feel bitter towards the person. Forgiveness comes very easily.
Yeah.
Detachment comes very easily. So you know that there's a sense that, okay, I'm learning my lesson. Now, also, Aanchal, let's talk, for example, in school. When we are in second standard, we learn plus and minus.
Yeah.
When we are in sixth standard, we also learn plus and minus, but it's a combination of different formulas.
Yeah.
When we are in 10th standard, 12th standard, and in MBA, we're still doing plus and minus.
Yeah.
So similarly, it never stops. Just because you've learned plus and minus in sixth and graduated from that does not mean you mastered that.
Yeah.
So we all need to master these lessons. there's a lot of difference in practicing patience and
Yeah.
being patient. When
Okay.
your action becomes who you are and becomes your virtue,
That
and when
becomes
it just effortlessly, that's when you master it and that's when you break through patterns. When you look at people and like, oh, she's a very grounded person, or he's such a patient person, or this person is so responsible, which means they've mastered that in their lifetime. And in this lifetime, it comes to them very naturally. It becomes their virtue.
yeah.
So it's not an action, it's a virtue.
Right.
When all your 44 karmic lessons, rather than being an action, become the virtue, become who you are, that's when you reach a state of enlightenment because you've mastered everything. But till
Right.
then, you have to keep learning these lessons on different levels. The lessons, some people can be physically patient, some people, the same person can be emotionally very impatient.
Correct.
Like, I
Correct.
mean, let's take your interaction with me. You've seen me in days, in the smallest of situations, I can get mentally hyper.
Yeah.
But in the strongest or the most difficult situations, I've been equally very emotionally calm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I have learned the lesson on one level, but I'm struggling to learn the lesson on another level.
Understood. Understood.
So
And but
these, Mhm.
lessons in the lifetime.
Yeah,
It is.
we have to. We have to.
I'm guessing we get faced by the situations over and over and over again until we finally learn the lessons we are meant to learn.
Exactly.
Okay. So is this what we call spiritual evolution and spiritual growth? Is this what we are trying to attain towards our lifetimes?
So what I would rephrase that, yes, it is a part of that, but that's what we call self-mastery.
Right.
When we master the virtue, so actually you don't have to learn all the 44 lessons in one lifetime.
Right.
Of course, we are very evolved souls. We are old souls. That's why we are kind of having this conversation. So
Correct.
we have learned, like I know what comes to me naturally. Being responsible comes to me very naturally, and you've
Right.
seen that,
Right.
or taking charge of situations come to me very naturally. But something else may not come to me naturally. So maybe that is where my struggle is, and this is where I've already learned in some lifetime.
Right.
So I don't have to focus on that because it comes to me very naturally. Then I have to focus on my weaknesses.
Right.
So rather than focusing on what I've already mastered, I
Yeah.
have to kind of focus on my weakness and make that my strength.
Right. So tell me something, when certain individuals have untimely deaths, right? Like uh, when you don't make it through your old age or whatever at a younger age, or newborns, or even miscarriages, does that mean that your karmic lessons are learned and you're done with this world? And does this mean that people who have untimely deaths have now attained their moksha, or am I misunderstanding this?
They have attained what they are here to experience. So
Okay.
some souls just come, especially with a lot of young deaths. Now I remember, I'm going to quote, of course, keeping the confidentiality. A very long years ago, a client had come to me and she'd lost her 12-year-old daughter out of the blue.
Oh my God.
And when we kind of did the auto writing, it came to surface that Achal, in that past life, that soul did not have, she had a very troubled childhood. The soul went through a very troubled childhood. So her karma in this lifetime was only to experience a
Child.
healthy, happy childhood, to break through the memories of a negative childhood pattern. And once that is attained, she went back. So
Okay.
some souls even incarnate for that much, to just
Okay.
experience a short-lived experience to balance the negative experience that they've had in the past life.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that they've attained their moksha, they've reached it.
No,
You could
no,
still be reborn and you could still have
yeah,
to learn.
yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Wow, that's really profound. I think I've exhausted a lot of my questions. If I've left out on anything, please feel free to share.
I think we've covered pretty much it.
Do our folks out there have any questions for Tamanna? Please feel free to ask. We'll give you a couple of minutes to punch that in. I know somebody had asked something about level
Yeah,
4. Some people,
yeah.
what does that mean? I think we've covered that, and how to learn lessons at 4 levels, both these.
So that's again mastering it. When your lesson is not an act or
Yeah.
it's not an effort and it becomes a virtue, that means you mastered it. So Aishwarya, that's what I've answered. Someone also asked me, what is an old soul? So guys, Old souls are souls who've incarnated in human form through multiple and multiple of lifetimes and are vibrating at a higher frequency. They carry more wisdom, they carry more innate experiences compared to the new soul. So basically, it's the difference between a newborn person and a mature person. You know, because souls are constantly merging into light, and then there are more souls being born. So that's the
Right.
difference. Souls with more experience, more wisdom, more spiritual frequency are the ones who are older.
Right. Yeah, we have a question here. Where does self-doubt stem from? And if it is a repeated pattern that you notice, what is a lesson you need to learn? Same, right? We covered this. That I guess
Yeah.
when it's self-doubt, you need to learn how to love yourself and be okay with the person that you are. And until you don't accept that, until you don't learn to do that, you're going to have to keep getting faced with situations where life is going to egg you on, face you with challenges. Please give example for 4 levels. And how do we increase our soul's frequency? How do we increase our?
So there,
That's an interesting question.
okay, quick. So soul's frequency and I mean, this conversation can go on, and maybe Aanchal, the next time we can talk about that. That can be a great topic of conversation. But in a gist, different ways is to become self-aware, to learn your lessons, to follow your karmic path, to meditate, to purify your space. It because your vibrations are always increasing.
Yeah,
You know, so soul frequency is like, how do you earn money? You do any small work, you will make money,
yeah,
but making money is very easy. Sustaining that is difficult. Today
right.
we can meditate for 2 hours and you can attain a higher frequency, but the minute you come out and you kind of, do something bad, you will go back to your old frequency.
Yeah,
So it's a very vast conversation, and maybe we should kind of talk about that in our next live session.
up the
But
next.
also, I'm gonna pick one question up, Achal. Prerna's asking, can you learn karmic lessons with the help of crystals? Now, I know a lot of people tell me, oh, can we wear a stone? Will it change our destiny? Will it change our karma? Do crystals help? They all basically bring in energy because of their crystals, their minerals. Stones and crystals are all natural minerals. They have the ability to absorb negativity.
Right.
So let me, put clarity on that, that a stone, a ring, a crystal does not help you learn your karmic lesson. It absorbs the negativity that is blocking you from learning your karmic lesson. Eventually, you have to learn the karmic lesson.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
whatever etheric energy, mental energy, emotional energy is blocking you from learning the lesson, stones, crystals, minerals can help you absorb that.
right, right. There was also another question here. How level 4? How to stop judging oneself and others? Richa, I think that if you're already aware of the fact that you're generally a person who judges others and yourself very harshly, that's half the battle won. It's a training. Not everything is about karma and coming to you. Make it a practice. Talk to yourself. These are tools you do. You can just. I think we'll leave that one out. Tams, you think?
Yeah.
We're stuck in
No,
a
no, I
situation.
absolutely agree.
It's something that you have to work on yourself. If you're aware of it, these are not things about karma. These are just things you have to start applying. It's a principle, it's a practice. You start doing it. You arrest yourself whenever you feel that you're judging someone. The next time and the next time and the next time, it stops becoming a habit. Sometimes you're stuck in a situation of a past life. You're fully aware, but not able to get out of it, not able to see the lesson. Do you just go through it?
You
Uh,
have to go through it, but with a lot of ease and compassion, and not holding on to anger towards the person. And sometimes you just have to basically, there's always a lesson to learn.
yeah,
And the lesson can be subjective, situation to situation, person to person. But yes, you have to go through it, but it's not about only going through it. It's about how you go through it.
yeah,
Are you going through it by being a bitter person, or are you going through it by being a more humble person?
yeah,
Humility is also a karmic lesson.
right,
Forgiveness is one of the strongest karmic lessons.
right,
Acceptance, being flexible, with allowance
yeah,
is also karmic lesson. So, if now a lot of people ask me, Tamanna, but where does standing up for yourself come? Then where do we talk about setting boundaries and being assertive?
yeah,
So, like I said, what lesson to implement in what situation gets very tricky.
right,
You
right.
know, I'll give you all a very lame example. Today, when we cook food, there are 10 different kinds of dal, but each dal tastes different on the proportion of ingredient or masala you add. Now, in the Indian recipe book, there are only 6 different kinds of masala. Namak, lal mirch. So it also the proportion or the quantity of the ingredients that you add kind of keep changing the taste, right?
Yeah,
Similarly, we also have to learn lessons. Now, you may be going through a situation, you think you need to learn forgiveness. But
yeah,
in reality, if your lesson is being more assertive, then you'll still be stuck in the situation no matter how much you keep forgiving the person. And
right,
this happens many times, I've heard a lot of my clients say, actually, but how much more to learn, but how much more to forgive, but how much more to let go, which means that you are implementing the wrong lesson in the wrong situation. You don't need to forgive. You don't need to let go. You need to learn another lesson.
right, right,
So it's very complex, you know, but it's very important to also implement the right lesson in the right situation in order to break through that pattern.
right.
It's like a lock and key.
And hence, living life in awareness is always a far richer way of living life than just flitting through life and not you know but anyway, as you said, look at karma from a different perspective. So I usually don't feel like blaming others for what's happening to me. Does that not mean I'm self-doubting? Why should you be blaming others for what's happening to you in the first place? I mean,
Yeah.
either you need to clarify or put it in context, unless uh,
No, that's a very vague. It's more of a personal thought than a question.
as
You know, also, guys, when y'all are asking questions, be more generic so that everyone else can benefit from it. Rather than like a personal therapy question.
yeah, we covered the old souls. We've covered how to let it go, especially when you're not wrong. Right and wrong is a perception. Everyone has their opinion and their side. It's about accepting yours and the other person's opinion. And then, you want to take this one, Tamanna? How do you let go, especially when you're not wrong?
Firstly, like I started off initially by saying that today, if you're at the receiving end of someone's bad behavior, it could also mean you've done something bad to them. So
Yeah,
maybe you're just balancing that. And you
yeah,
will not really know that till the time you don't go to somebody and figure that out. Number
yeah,
one. Number two is even if it's not a past life balance and it's a fresh karma, out of the blue, someone's come and hurt you,
yeah.
in you wanting to punish the person and you wanting the person to pay
You're
for
building.
what they did to you is also a negative karma that you're creating.
Yeah, yeah,
So you need to take it at face value and leave it at that and be like, what you learned from it, and you
yeah,
maybe it was just a karmic lesson. That's where I say that some people just come into your life, cause a lot of pain, kind of ruffle up your life to teach you a lesson, and when you're on the brink of learning the lesson, they kind of fade away. So it means that this
yeah,
person was trying to teach you something. And today, right and wrong is very, very relative.
yeah, yeah, yeah. How do you stop overthinking and over analyzing everything and every action? Guys, how are you asking all these questions to a spiritual leader and a psychic? If you know you are judging, if you know you're overthinking and over analyzing, it's a habit, it's a pattern that you need to break. This is not karma, or this is not, um, you know, you're doing this. You have to arrest it when you're doing it. Can
Yeah.
negative prevent me from picking the right Anlom card so as to prevent us from learning our lesson?
Absolutely. Janvi, you need to kind of be open to receiving. So whenever you sit with a deck of cards, it's also very important that you're open to learning.
Yeah,
You can't be persistent, oh, the other person. No, you have to be open and let the universe take charge.
yeah,
That's very important. Your intention is the ultimate thing that carries you forward in life. That's the ultimate thing. Souls vibrate on the level of intention. Today,
yeah,
whatever your intentions in life are, you will attract those kind of people.
yeah,
So even with cards, even the cook that you keep at home
yeah,
is thought through with an intention.
yeah.
So you have to be very, very mindful. You have to be very aware. And that's why, again, Archel's spoken about it. And I mean, this has been going on for millions of years, the Bhagavad Gita. We all talk about being aware.
Yeah.
Being aware is the key to everything else. It's the master key. And then, of course, you have different lessons. It's like if you want to educate yourself, the first key is to go take admission. Once you've taken admission, everything else kind of starts showing up. But that admission is important.
Yeah.
And admission
Yeah.
will not come to you. You have to go to it.
Right.
So
Right.
similarly is the case with, with souls. It's like you have to reach a point of awareness. Once you're aware, then there are layers and layers and layers in a never ending journey, but you have to wake up and at least reach that point of basic awareness.
Correct. Correct. Uh, how to find your soulmate? That's a subject we've already covered. It's on the page. You can go to the main page, Decoding Life with Aanchal, and find that chat. Addictions, Parmita, I'm going to do an entire chat on addictions. So please stay tuned for that. Uh, right, meditation, mindfulness. Again, this is so good. How do you find your awareness? What is self-doubt? I think this is going on a complete different tangent, but
Yeah, so I think for now, guys, we will be back with more topics. And
yeah,
for now, I think we've covered what we were here to discuss.
karmic lesson.
And I think these are just very random questionnaires. So we can summarize this and finish this.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for being on this page. It's not the end. We're going to be back with many more interesting topics with Tamanna. It's always deeply enlightening and informative to chat with her. Thank you for taking the time out. If your friends have missed it, the chat's going to stay on the page. You can go to it anytime you like. Send us the questions. We'll try and forward it to her and have answers. Tams, thank you so much for being taking the
Thank you.
on the
I'll
page.
see you soon.
Very nice talking to you, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Bye bye.